So, KSI recently has gotten into a bit of drama. If you know anything about this guy, then you would know this is unfortunately a pretty common thing for him as of late. But if you hadn't heard, KSI recently left his YouTube group, the Sidemen. Now, usually when there's drama around the Sidemen and their inner circle, they're pretty professional about it, oftentimes just not addressing the problem at all. But this was definitely not one of those situations that they could just ignore. The general consensus is that the Sidemen are probably still on good terms with KSI, given that two members of the group have appeared in recent videos of his, though they were certainly blindsided by the public announcement video he made concerning his departure from the group. Following the release of the aforementioned announcement video, there was immense backlash towards KSI's decision, and in particular the manner in which he went about leaving the group. There have been many comments made that KSI apparently left his friends to make MrBeast slop content. For example, a user on Twitter says the following: "He is still hated. Nobody respects him anymore. He chose the brain route over the Sidemen." I definitely agree with the idea that his style of content has shifted from personality-based videos that involved interacting with his online community and more towards the hyper-optimized content that appeals to a very large audience that creators like MrBeast have been pushing a lot in recent years. A lot of fans are also really angry with the idea that KSI blindsided the rest of the Sidemen with his announcement, with a lot of the Sidemen community holding this point of criticism as the main problem they're upset about, with a user on Twitter saying the following: "There wouldn't have been any backlash had he and the boys put out a statement of them parting mutually, rather than him blindsiding them, which is what caused all that outrage from his fans. People understood him leaving, but the way he left was messed up." In a recent podcast with some of his friends, KSI has remarked on all the negative comments being said about him in his recent actions on the internet, stating, "Part of me was thinking, maybe I should go back." Now, saying something like this probably isn't the best way to demonstrate confidence in your actions in any situation. In all fairness, he was probably at least half joking when he said this, but it's important to note that his retirement from the group wasn't something he felt completely confident about, perhaps having second doubts in his mind. And this all brings us to today, when KSI released an Instagram story telling his followers to go to his recent community posts and weigh their opinions about it. Now, to give credit where credit is due, this is a pretty thoughtful way for KSI to have a dialogue with his community. He gives his reasoning behind his actions, and he gives his fans a direct forum to explain what they think about it in turn. This kind of brings us back to the idea of KSI having second doubts about his decision, which I don't doubt he does. It was probably one of the biggest decisions in his entire life, and I think anyone in his position would feel a bit of doubt about a choice of that magnitude. I don't really think this community post is about that, though. It just seems to be a method for KSI to gauge where exactly the frustration in his community is coming from. That's probably going to be the most positive light KSI has put in for the rest of this video, though, because his fans certainly did give him a piece of their minds. As for the actual content of the community post, it's effectively a tirade against group channels, as KSI states that the time spent in the creation of group content only really grows the group channel, rather than the individual channels of the members inside the group. To be honest, I don't really know enough about the production, or even just the general consumption of group content to give an informed opinion about this take, but I do know that the YouTube comments were quite opinionated about it. That is before he deleted them, within a day. So we're just gonna have to rely on the commentary from other websites. For example, people on Reddit are talking about this most recent community post in about as positive a manner as you would imagine, with "It's crazy how badly he has been brainwashed by Mo and potentially Constantine as well," being one of the most popular posts on his own subreddit. In any case, a Reddit user says the following: "My problem is he's constantly saying he couldn't grow in Sidemen, but for years since he's been in it, he's still branched off and done collabs, boxing and singing, and he's only grown bigger, so I don't exactly get the logic that he couldn't grow while being in the group." To which another user replies, "He's implying it's good for the group, not the people that feature on their channel from the looks of it, but to be fair, the writing's terrible at first. It seems he's saying it's not best for anyone. Then near the end he makes it seem like the group benefits, but the outsiders don't, which is weird considering a lot of UK YouTubers had their big break featuring on a Sidemen video." To which another user replies, "Absolutely. To me it's a bizarre take. The Sidemen have exposed me to so many critters I never would have heard of if they hadn't appeared in content with them. That exposure and familiarity makes me far more likely to click on other videos that they're in. Saying that the group is the only one that benefits makes zero sense. There's a reason a lot of these smaller creators are popping up in as many Sidemen videos as they can. It's unreal exposure. The MrBeastification of YouTube content returns in the community dialogue with this new community post being out, which makes a lot of sense because the community post talks a lot about optimizing YouTube content, which is, again, an idea that MrBeast and similar creators, now including KSI, like to push a lot. As such, a Reddit user says the following: I think there was a clear rift in the style of content the Sidemen and KSI wanted to create, as KSI wants to emulate MrBeast and the Sidemen wants to stay true to themselves, which I respect much more than just hopping onto the latest trends to chase numbers. To which another Reddit user replies, that actually might be true. JJ's obsession with MrBeast type content was evident from the beginning. He used to argue with the boys about it on podcasts. Yeah, I think initially he would have wanted to leave, but he might have thought that he would convince the other boys to make different style of content, but the other boys disagreed. Then he decides to leave. Now, that last comment was bordering on the point of fan fiction, but you get the point. Reddit didn't receive the community post very well, and they believe that KSI isn't focusing on, in their opinion, the right sort of content. Over on Twitter, another user weighs their opinion on the situation. KSI really has to let this go, man. Literally no one cares anymore. Doing badly without his mates, and he knows it. So now he's trying to dunk on other groups with no shade. For what reason? A discussion? Get out of my face. That was actually one of the less spirited comments made about the community post on Twitter, but it's not like I can just show anything on YouTube, you know? Another Twitter user provides their perspective on the situation. You seem to forget that all of your best mates are in the biggest YouTube group of all time? Nothing has made you post this, so it's clearly a dig against him. The disrespect is grim, at KSI. This is referring to the part of the community post where KSI very vaguely states, quote, this isn't shade or me trying to put hate on any groups. Here, the Twitter user is angry because KSI didn't show enough respect to directly address the specific group he's almost certainly talking about. Another Twitter user provides their perspective. I literally wouldn't have heard of the Sidemen if not for Vic. I used to only watch Vic's Minecraft videos, and then I saw YouTube recommend me a GTA video where he was in this group with 6 other dudes. That fact is what had made me be a Sidemen fan for 10 years. A lot of people in the Sidemen community pointed to an implied reason for KSI's departure from the group being that he had simply outgrown the group and no longer benefited enough from it to warrant spending so much time on it. So for this user to provide this perspective of only having found out about KSI because of his involvement in the Sidemen suggests that KSI had grown so large in part due to the Sidemen rather than in spite of it. To end the video off, we have a user who now questions the very circumstances provided for leaving the group to begin with. Again, I thought he literally said the reason for stepping away was to have more time to breathe and spend time with loved ones. Now it just seems he's doing it because he felt tied down and wants to grow. Now, I was a KSI fan for a very long time, and a Sidemen fan for even longer, so I'm interested in knowing what you guys think about this whole situation. So, make sure to leave a comment about your opinion in the comment section down below. That's all for this video. Have a good day, guys.